Hey there, my friends. It's Andy at the Andy Falco Show, coming to you live from Tri-City Park in Southern California. And I know I got this weird lighting going on. Just a second ago, it was perfect. And then I hit the live button. But I wanted to come on. Sorry about that. I want to come on and remind you today at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have a show. I'm interviewing Dr. Lisa. I'm going to leave it at that. We're going to be talking about some very important subject matter in regard to what's going on in our world right now. And she is just ready, I think, to let loose with some information that we all need to hear. You're not going to want to miss it. I have no idea what she's going to say. I mean, I've had her on the show once before, and she gave us a bunch of information. So I'm looking forward to this interview. What really moved her is the interview of all the doctors. Hey, David, uh, nice park setting. Thank you. What really moved her is the video of all the doctors there when they went to Washington, D.C. and spoke, and then that video got taken down. She spoke about that in her own video. And agreed with them in many ways, and then her video was taken down. So, and then it started getting shared with me, so which is really funny. And so that I'm going to be interviewing her. The people are sharing videos of Lisa to me, and I'll be talking to her today at 1 o'clock. As long as everything goes well. We've tried to schedule this a couple times before, and it did not happen just because of scheduling and other issues. She's a very busy doctor, working with patients on a daily basis, and I'm taking her vitamin protocol, which is to protect you from COVID-19, which again doesn't get shared. Nobody seems to really be telling you how to avoid getting COVID-19 with supplements and with nutrition and boosting your immune system. There's very little news about that. There's only news about how it's killing people. And that if we open up our schools or open up businesses, that people are going to die. That's all you're right. That's all they want to tell us is how all that is happening. I'm glad that she's speaking out. There's many people that are saying, "Well, I can't do anything, so I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to lose my job, so I don't say anything. I don't." But these doctors have put their practices on the line, have put their names on the line. They're being bad things are being reported on them. Some of them they've said, and other things that maybe they didn't say. That they're actually making up some lies. I was watching a post today from an influencer who talked about the ridiculous numbers that are getting inflated by the news media, and he was fact checked, and they had to apologize because when you actually did the fact check actually said that he was correct. And so I'll be sharing that video if I didn't already. I'm not sure if I did or not, but um, it's just because it's craziness out there, right? I again just encourage you that I know there's many people saying I said something the other day and somebody complained and I almost lost my job. I know, but at what point? Where are you going to be pushed to? What is going to be that point? Because there is going to be that point. If you continue to be silent, if a large number of people who know that it's wrong continue to be silent, because you have a small majority of people that are crazy, right? We're being run by lunatics right now. I'm pretty sure. I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty sure 100% of Americans are mostly sane, not 100%, a large percentage, that's a better way of saying it, are fairly sane. And we have a small percentage who are looting, throwing Molotov cocktails, spitting in cops' faces, want defunding law enforcement. And if you really were to do a real poll, not like the polls that they're doing right now, but if you did a real poll, most people would say, people have lost their mind. I just don't say anything because that small group of people try to get me fired, or they lambaste me, or say that I'm racist, or say that horrible things about me. So I don't say anything because X, because of Y, and we got to stop having that mentality, because at some point you're going to have to say something, because they're going to come to your house and it's going to affect you. And at some point you need to make some changes. I'm reading this devotional because I need to. It's my utmost for his highest. And I was rereading yesterday's because I have to do that. I have to read it 3 or 4 times because I am not that versed in Bible study, and I struggle daily with my mind wandering to things in places that it shouldn't. But just yesterday, it was the third paragraph. I think it was the third paragraph of yesterday's, the teaching of adversity. which I think is there's a line here that really struck me. I'm actually gonna, when I get home, I'm gonna underline it and maybe take a picture of it or write it somewhere. But it says after the first three paragraphs. So if you have this book, go to yesterday's reading, and then it has God does not give us overcoming life. He gives us life as we overcome. Right? That was so powerful. It says the strain of life is what builds our strength. Is there If there is no strain, there will be no strength. If there is no strain, there will not be any strength. And so, and I don't think necessarily this can just be talked about in relationship to your faith, right? If you go through strain and adversity, in many ways, this is talking about your faith with God. But I think, and I believe what he's talking about is overall that your strength is built through adversity and overcoming adversity, and having joy with adversity. And again, I'm so sorry about my light, but it's constantly changing. There's nothing I can do about it. And this is my restraint right now. I was trying to figure out how, the adversity that I'm hitting right now is my lighting. That is the worst thing that's happening to me right at this very second. But the other thing is, obviously, I got 4 kids that are in school and they're not opening. I got an email from the school, from the school board today. I haven't read it yet. I cannot wait to read it because I laid out a whole bunch of information, much of the information I've been laying out to you. I'm sure they're already getting it. I'm sure they're already hearing it from other people, but I just haven't had a chance. I was testifying earlier in Idaho on a court case that went nowhere. I thought finally I'm going to get a court case and I'm going to get some income, and they continued it. Right, I show up and they continue it, but I had to wait an hour and a half, 2 hours on the Zoom call before they got to the case that I'm involved in, and then they go, "We're not going any further. We're going to reschedule." Oh, geez. So that's some of my strain, that's some of my adversity. But will I overcome? Absolutely, I always do. I have been in far worse situations. I've been shot at. I've had to shoot people. I've had to chase people 120 miles an hour down the 5 freeway through Los Angeles, Riverside, San Diego. I've been in 2 major police car crashes that one of them caused my retirement. And so I know what I speak of, between depression and anxiety and some other things that I've had to fight through with. My story. That's why I wear the shirt as often as possible to show people what it is that they need to know about CBD. They stop and ask me, "So tell me about your company," and then we have a conversation. And so that adversity has led me to the opportunity to train people or to teach people and to show people how you can overcome adversity. And so that is the thing I think he's talking about in this book. Oswald Chambers in this book, is edited by James Ryman, is that this is necessary. What we're going through right now is necessary, but you have to speak up, right? You have to take a stand. You can't be silent because of an organization that you may be working for or with says that, "Oh, no, you can't say that. If you say that, somebody will get upset on Twitter and they'll cancel you." Right? All right. Okay. Well, they're going to have to cancel me because I'm not staying silent. I'm not staying quiet about things that are wrong. It is wrong. It is false. Right? Every day we take a chance. Every day we take a chance. Every day that I leave my house, I take a chance. Every day I get in my car, I take a chance. Every day that our kids are going to school during the H1N1. Every time I was a police officer doing the AIDS issue that was very large when I was a police officer. Every home I went into where it would show on the computer, the person in there has been reported to have HIV/AIDS, and yet we would still go on the call. We didn't go, "Well, you know what, we can't go because you have HIV." No, we just were alerted, be careful, because, and then we ended up fighting with some guy and he'd be bleeding, right? And so we still did that then. So you hear teachers saying, "Well, I can't go back because of it's dangerous. We're going to die. I can't go back until you defund the cops. I cannot go until you give me $50 billion that will simply go nowhere." There's no proof that money solves educational problems. There's no study that says if you give a school system more money, then the kids will be taught better. No, that has not ever been proven. And so here you have a school union asking for defunding the cops, more money. They want to teach a certain curriculum that is just against the Constitution of the United States. They want that first before they go back to school. It's nothing about the kids, right? There's nothing about the kids, but they refuse to go back to school, not because of COVID-19. It's because mostly they want to defund the cops, which is it's ridiculous, right? And so nobody speaks up over in LA, apparently. Nobody says, "Hey, union, well, we're going to just fire everybody." I know. Oh, that's so easy. I know. What else are you going to do? But because nobody's speaking up and saying, "You are stupid. right? Number one, defunding the cops is stupid just on its own. That you won't go back to school and teach my kids because we're not going to defund the cops, which they already did in Los Angeles, by the way, and they still put it on the demand list. They've already have been defunded, and yet they want more defunding. They want more dismantling. Oakland had completely dismantled the Oakland School Police. That there's no longer any school police. That has been completely dismantled and no longer exists. And Oakland is number two, I believe. Maybe it's one. I can't remember. It's in that area, one or two. It's in. It's one of. It's on the crime um, the crime list. They are like number two, number three. Good, an area that has a good crime, which means low crime, is 100, right? So a city like I'm in right now that I could bicycle by myself. I don't have to worry about having money in my pocket. I got my cell phone about 5 or 6 feet away from me. I don't have any worries, right? That is happening because I live in an area where it's probably 99, maybe 98. But you have Oakland, who is on the crime index as a 2, I believe. I'll have to look it up. It's in that area, between 1 and 3. It's one of the worst. Um, they dismantle a law enforcement agency in that city. And nobody speaks up, apparently, right? The bad guys aren't going to speak up. They're going, oh, fantastic. We no longer have a police department in this area. That's just great. Like, so they're not going to speak up and say anything. You got other people that have just been trained not to say anything. And you got a large number of people that know better that said nothing. That is why this is happening, right? And so, and I'm saying all this because I have a doctor who's willing to put her practice on the line and speak to me today at 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I have no idea, Nabi, what time that is in Australia. I don't even know what. But I'll be talking to her about what it is that she knows. She's from Tampa, Florida, so she's in the area where they're claiming that they have the skyrocketing number of people that are getting infected. They also have skyrocketing tests. Right? A correlation between the skyrocketing test, of course, is going to be a larger number of people that have it and report to have it. And so we'll be talking to her about that kind of stuff. I'm trying to figure out how we can talk in a way so that it doesn't get pulled down, but I'm not sure if that's going to be possible. We may be speaking in code. But by now, I think we can talk about certain things in a certain way that even if we use some other type of wordage, that you guys will know what we're talking about. So I don't know if we're going to skirt that if she wants to play that game or not. She may just come out and say the names of things. I'm trying to avoid it as much as possible because so many people's videos are being taken down. All right. So that's it. Just wanted to come on and tell you that. And I wanted to read a little bit of a message to you and see if it touched you anyway. But yeah, like Nabi says, their opportunity is opportunity in adversity. And absolutely. And I've taught that for years. And it is necessary. Adversity is necessary. We don't grow without adversity. And sometimes taking a chance, sometimes speaking out, sometimes getting fired from a job because we're not willing to put people's lives at risk. We're not willing to allow children to continue to commit suicide. We're not willing to continue to allow kids to be abused at home or sexually molested at home without the main reporting parties, which are professionals at school who notice these things. Without that being a thing, we've taken that out of the protection. One last thing, it just hit me as I'm talking about that. I want to explain to you about this defunding, dismantling issue. It's affecting not you. You know, most people think, well, there's just not going to be any more cops on the street. It's affecting everything. Do you not understand this? When you have law enforcement that's not willing to participate because it's too dangerous for them because they'll get arrested if they actually hurt somebody in an arrest, that's what's happening. I mean, they're hesitant to arrest and put hands on somebody because if that person gets hurt, they can be arrested. We've seen it. We've already seen them being arrested. So we have that going on. But the other thing that you're not seeing is in the detective bureaus and in the SWAT, detail, the helicopter bureau, the traffic bureau. They're all being affected with this defunding. It's in dismantling. It's just not the street patrol guy who's making arrests on a daily basis. I was in sex crimes, as many of you know, as a detective for a few years. And we had 4 detectives in sex crimes in Anaheim. And I talk about this too, that we were actually a fairly successful police department. We had mostly good funding, not the entire time I was there. We had to kind of, picket and that kind of stuff to try to get the city council to make sure we had enough money to cover everything that needed to be covered. But for the most part, we were a fairly well-funded police department. And even with that, we had only 4 detectives in sex crimes And each year, each of us handled between 500 and 6 cases a year. 500 and 600 cases. I say 5 and 6, 500 and 600 cases, each of us. Do you understand what that means? That we cannot and could not fully investigate every report that came through. It's impossible. It's an impossible hurdle. It's not humanly possible for one detective to get 500 to 600 cases, sex crimes cases in one city, and investigate all of them further. And so what we had to do is prioritize, right? They had little colors that we would put on the folders, red being the ones that were most hot, most evidence, most witnesses, maybe a victim statement that was solid, so that would be a red. So that one's ready to go. And all we need to do is do some follow-up and do some more investigation, look for more evidence, and try to really firm up that case. And then it would go down the line. And then we had, like, I forget what the colors are now because it's been so long, but, blue, yellow and green, for instance. And there was a large number of, let's say green was the one where you had, had a report and maybe had a victim, but no real evidence that we could, really investigate. So unfortunately for that victim, that report had to go into we'll get to it when we get to it, if we ever get to it, pile. That there was no way around it, because with one detective, because we had to borrow a detective, right? If we ever went somewhere, so let's say, and I'm just trying to expel this out for you so you know how dangerous and how stupid this defunding law enforcement is that if you, as a detective, needed to go to question a suspect, you don't go by yourself, because you knock on the door, you get in a shooting and somebody dies, right? And so you go with other people, and now you have to take the other detective, who also has 600 cases, off of his caseload for 4 hours or 5 hours, and go to a location, knock on a door, and he stands by while you question this person. And so he's not able to handle his cases. And every day we would do this. We're trying to balance the investigation of our pile of cases that are sitting on our desk, piles of cases. We would leave on Friday, come back Monday, and the pile would be larger, because you can only chip away at 2 or 3 cases, yet you're getting 30 to 40 cases a week. And the pile just keeps getting bigger. You handle 2, it gets bigger. You handle 2 more, it gets bigger, right? There's no catching up. And that's in the department that actually was doing well with funding and had, 4 detectives in one detail, which was called sex crimes. That's actually not bad for a department our size. So you got to be scratching your head as a citizen, going, wait a minute, I'm paying all these taxes, property taxes, sales tax, all these things. Our gas here in California is the highest in the world. And yet now we don't have any protection from law enforcement. They dismantled the police department in Oakland, and the others are going to follow. They've defunded, one of the largest police departments, 2 of the biggest police departments, LAPD and LA County Sheriff. They've defunded them, and we're the ones, right? And now I'm a civilian, or a retired police officer, and what if something happens where I need a detective or somebody to investigate a criminal case? They're not going to be able to get to it. My case will never get looked at. I mean, unless there's a lot of evidence or something going on, and then it is sad. It really is sad that it is going to be worse than it's ever been before with everything that's going on. And again, with nobody speaking up, this is going to get worse. And so let's join the doctor at 1 o'clock and encourage her and thank her for speaking up. So I'll be talking to her in a few hours. All right. I'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye.